Hey, so I'm just going to walk you through a common orthopedic workflow. So I'm just finished this consult here with the patient. It's a left ACL reconstruction, and essentially Lyrebird's going to generate the note. I mean, this note structure is all right. Obviously, you're going to have it in your own structure. I might just put it into an orthopedic one that I've got here. Cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate the letter. So I've got this ortho clinic letter here that I'm going to generate. That's accessible via the community in letter or document templates. So once I've generated that, all I need to do is check it. So read over, make sure everything looks right. Once it does look right, I can do one of two things. So I can either mark this as reviewed up here and then just refresh that. It's not going to change the name, it's just going to change the file name. The other option is to go into my history, find the associated document. So this is the consult we just did here, and I can open it over here. But if I find the associated document down here, I can open it. I can then mark it as reviewed. And once it's saved, I can go back, go to my next consult. Essentially what this is doing is making sure that your admin staff who log into your account can see that this one here is ready to transfer into the medical record or the Word document. They can just come in here, click copy, and then paste it into the relevant spot. There are two things you kind of need to do to get that set up. First, head to settings and into preferences, and secondly, turn on enable document statuses. So that's what you want to have turned on for this. That means that you can tag that as a status. Keep in mind that you can only tag the documents with the status. You can't tag the consults. If you don't want to tag the document and you just want to tag the consult, then this is the option that I would recommend, tagging it as reviewed. If the one thing I wanted to add is if this letter here isn't right for you and you want to just do a dictation, instead of going into dictate and separating it, you can still do that dictation in here. So just click up here and click direct or smart dictate. So I'm going to do a smart dictate. Write a letter to the patient's GP, CC the patient and the patient's school. So David's a 18-year-old male. He injured his left knee skiing in Italy last week. There was a pop when he fell. It's moderate pain, probably 6 out of 10. It gets better with rest. So he's had no previous knee injuries. His BP is 120/80, heart rate 75, and temperature 37 degrees. On examination, there was 135 degree flexion, 0 degree extension, and pain at the end range flexion. Positive Lockman, pivot shift, and negative McMurray. He's neurovascularly intact. No fractures or dislocations in the X-ray, but the MRI showed a complete ACL tear. The plan is to do an ACL reconstruction, strengthening exercises, and brace for stability. Is going to take him 9 to 12 months to return to sport. So at school, he won't be able to do sport for, let's say, 12 months comfortably. I gave him some ACL injury handout with rehab guides in it as well. So essentially, yeah, just put this in a letter to the patient's GP, be pretty concise, and don't make it too long. So I'm going to click stop dictating. What I was doing there was a smart dictation. So I can just ask it to generate a letter, and then I just provided all of the information. And it's put it into its own structure for me. Alternatively, I could do a direct dictate. Again, that's good. Just read over it, check it. If I wanted to, and I can mark it down here as reviewed, and then I can add notes if I wanted to. So I could make a macro that says reviewed, and then a spot here to add anything else. And to make that macro, I just highlight, right click, choose create macro, and call this secretary. I'm just going to create that, and I'm going to show you how to use that. So if I want to enter it here, just type /. I can start typing secretary and just enter that. If there's any other notes I need to make here, I can just type it in there. Another little trick you might not be aware of is inline dictate. So copy this to the school and patient's family. And I can just click stop there, or I could have clicked Control-Shift-D. I've got other settings set up, but you can just click Control-Shift-D and it will start that inline dictate. You can just click around and dictate into it. That's the first thing I wanted to show, or a couple of things in there combined. The other one is if you go into settings, click on preferences, scroll down and choose the option that says show notepad pre-consult and show upcoming patients when empty. So what you can do here is if I go to the consult page or the dictate page, I can see that this option here is available, and it will always be there even if it's empty. So when I open that, I can make sure I clear these previous patients. But what I can do is I can add a patient list. So I can add my patient list the day I can do this, or I can have my secretary log in and do it. I can just add that. I'll add one more as an example. And then this is a really cool trick. So if I click on this and then I click open notepad, I can type in some previous context into this. So maybe you've got a digital form that they've filled in with information, or the secretary has some context on this patient that you don't. They can just type in here some notes. So David is 18-year-old male, injured left knee, skiing, no previous history, no just stuff like that. So this means that once you get to this patient, you've got the context in there. Lyrebird's got that context as well, and you can just skip that history taking if it's appropriate. If I switch over to the next patient for Jane, this is going to change, and I can add stuff for Jane here, and so on. So now I can click David, and I can see that history there. I can just start listening. Lab will jump into the consult. Once I've stopped, it'll generate, no, it won't work here, but I can just click next patient, and it's going to jump straight into Jane with this notepad with the information in there. So it's a really handy workflow. Now all you need to do is mark it as reviewed, go to the next patient, and that will be ready. That's kind of like the ideal workflow for Lyrebird with the secretary.